Well, the protests following the death of George Floyd continue to discuss issues of race and injustice across the country. And we have started a real conversation and calls for action. But is there a point that we've gone too far? The outrage is now impacting pop culture and entertainment. This week, HBO removed Gone with the Wind and considered a classic and one of the most popular movies of all time from its streaming service. In a statement, HBO explained Gone with the Wind is a product of its time and depicts some of the ethnic and racial prejudice that have unfortunately been commonplace in American society. These racist depictions were wrong then and they are wrong today. And we felt that to keep this title up without an explanation and a denouncement of those depictions would be irresponsible. These depictions are certainly counter to Warner Media's values. But it's not just movies now. Popular non-scripted shows about police like Cops and Live PD have also been canceled, while dramas like LA's Finest starring Jessica Alba have postponed episodes. Even children's cartoons like the preschooler favorite Paw Patrol have gone under scrutiny. They are literally calling to euthanize the dog. So the big question is, has this gone too far? Joining us now is David Marcus, the New York correspondent for The Federalist. David, welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me.
Okay, I get there are issues of race that have to be addressed, but I'm not really sure if we go down this avenue. I mean, look, just today alone, Amazon now has the number one Gone with the Wind has become the number one best-selling movie on Amazon. Obviously, there's a desire for it, and HBO doing this really doesn't serve a purpose. But the thing is, if we go down this road, let's start saying, okay, fine, everything that has badness in it, let's get rid of it. So every movie that Harvey Weinstein did, let's get rid of it. Forrest Gump, Lord of the Rings, Good Will Hunting, Pulp Fiction, Shakespeare in Love, all of them, they should get pulled or have something too, because they were directed by a scumbag. So should we start doing that? Let's go down that path. Is that where we should head?
No, but I mean, it's the right question. The question here is, what's the limiting principle? You say, okay, well, Gone with the Wind is over the top. Well, what about other movies from the 40s and 50s that portray black people or Asian people in different, ways that we wouldn't do today? So, yeah, you have to have a limiting principle if you're going to start censoring at all, which you probably shouldn't be doing. But it's clear that there is no limiting principle here. It's clear that everything's up for grabs. So, yeah, a little troubling.
Yeah, it is troubling, David. And, John Ridley is the one who started this whole thing in his op-ed to HBO, asking them to actually take down Gone with the Wind. As we just saw, HBO acquiesced and said, sure, we'll take it down. We'll bring it back with a disclaimer talking about why this was all wrong. But that is a slippery slope as well, because now it begs the question, what else should have a disclaimer on it? And there's a lot of things in our society, not only old, but right now when I think about the music industry, there's songs that are super disparaging against women or glorify drugs, even movies that do that. So now do we start putting a disclaimer on all these things and censoring literally anything that we're consuming?
Yeah, watch out when they say we're going to bring it back in some repackaged form. If you go into recent history of musical theater, for example, the Gilbert and Sullivan musical, The Mikado, ran into trouble about 5 or 6 years ago because it's traditionally done in what people would call yellowface. People stopped doing it. They really don't do it anymore. And this is how things wind up erased from our culture. So, yeah, look, I hope HBO brings it back. I'm glad everybody's running out on Amazon to get a copy. But this is not a good road for our entertainment corporations to go down.
Yeah, I agree with you, David. I mean, look, we've got to be able to have discussion, but sort of wiping out history and not talking about things probably is not helpful to learning what was wrong in the past and making sure we don't do it again. That's part of it. You've got to learn from history. If you wipe it out, then you're not helping solve the problem or make sure it doesn't come back again. This is such a bad path to go down. David, thank you for coming and sharing your thoughts with us.
My pleasure. Thanks for having me.
All right. All right, so how much further does this go, and is there a line to be drawn? Joining us to continue the conversation is Stacy Washington. She's the co-chair of Project 21, and former Chester County, Pennsylvania Sheriff Bunny Welsh. Ladies, thank you for being here.
Thanks, Sean.
All right, Bunny, first to you. You're now seeing Legos talk about the fact that they won't market any of their products that have police officers in them. We talked about Paw Patrol being targeted, these other live television programs that have cops in them being pulled or canceled. Is this a disservice? I know that so many kids growing up, you played cops and robbers. The police were people that you would idolize and you wanted to be, emulate and look up to. Is this going to hurt the profession overall?
Well, it certainly hurts the dreams and aspirations of young boys and girls to want to grow up and be cops. How many of us remember, and of course I'm an older generation, but remember, you're right, playing cops and robbers, cowboys and Indians, those kinds of things. And kids wanted to be a cop. They wanted to be a policeman. They wanted to be a fireman. They wanted to be a first responder, doctors, nurses. And to paint this profession of law enforcement as if it was something negative and a child should not aspire to serve and protect, I just find it appalling. And to take out children's programs and children's toys, I think it's beyond the pale.
Stacy, when we even look at Paw Patrol, they're asking for Chase, who plays a police officer in Paw Patrol, to be euthanized. It should be taken away from the program altogether. We have Gone with the Wind being asked to be taken off. Have we gone too far? And this cancel culture is becoming more and more prevalent.
So, this is where I think we're going into a dark era in American culture, where after this passes, we'll see many people decry the weakness that's on display. It's a sign of emotional and mental weakness to need things to be canceled instead of you just turning away from it on your television. I wonder, do any of these people remember that their televisions actually have off buttons? You have the ability to cancel your cable. You don't have to subscribe to HBO. You can actually, we're cable cutters. We just use Amazon Prime. And if I see something I don't like, I cut it off. And that is my way of disapproving of it. I don't necessarily have to call for it to be disbanded. Now, and in the cases of indecency, obviously you would want to get rid of a program that was indecent, but we're talking about a change in opinion for a segment of society that still dials 911. In my opinion, if you feel like you can't have police officers in your toy selection for American kids, then everybody who works for Lego, from the CEO on down, should agree that they also will not call 911. So, just give me equal participation on both sides. Either completely detach yourself from 911 and police officers and security, all of it, guns, everything, or acknowledge that every profession has a few bad apples.
Amen to that. I think you're right. This is the problem. We're throwing out the baby with the bathwater. The thing is that all of these discussions at police reforms are where we should be talking about, because we don't want anybody growing up worried about the police, and we don't want the police doing anything that harms anybody. I think that's where the conversation needs to center, as opposed to shunning good police officers and the rest of the entire profession. So I think we've got to focus more on that and less on trying to brush it away and brush all these icons in this profession away, pretending like nothing ever they don't exist. I think that only creates further problems down the road. So anyway, I appreciate both of you guys being here. Thank you for your insight. Look forward to having you back soon.
Thanks, Sean.
Thank you.
All right. Well, several newspapers and publications are allowing their reporters to speak up and donate to causes involving the protests around the country. But journalists are supposed to be objective, and this isn't something that has ever happened in the past with any other cause. So does letting them join the cause cross that line? We're going to ask our company next.